Rick Hunolt and Doug Piercy of Nefarious.
Yes,
Welcome to 69 Face of Rock. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for having us, my friend.
yeah, absolutely. It's quite a pleasure. Thank you very much, Mark.
Oh, you're welcome. A thrash metal supergroup. How did you get together? Who approached who?
I don't. Well,
Well,
group.
yeah, a couple
We're a
years back,
stupid group. We're a
after
stupid
we
group.
finished the European tour, um, Tom and I decided we just venture off and do our own kind of solo thing, and I had a bunch of songs left over from the old Blind Illusion stuff before we left. And we just kind of started recording those songs and working on them and trying to see where we could take it. And we asked Will Carroll if he could play drums because we were already playing in it's kind of an Angel Witch tribute thing called Quintanica. And I always talk with Rick, so I was telling Rick all about it, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, I'll come down and play some solos." So, one thing led to another. And then we started playing around with the idea of getting vocalists, and I had a couple guys in mind. And yeah, for other reasons or whatever, they didn't really pan out. And then I thought of getting Kaiden to Pena involved. He had reached out to me about something, it had nothing, it was unrelated, and I just started thinking, I go, wow, that's an interesting one because it'd be kind of cool to have another old veteran guy come in and do something with us and see if he wanted to do it. There was never any intention to try to make a super group per se or anything like that. But one thing led to another, and we started doing some recordings, and it started to sound really cool. So we just kept going with it and kept it quiet.
Interesting. Rick, what does that look like from your angle?
Oh man. Well, like Doug said, he contacted me after he was in the middle of putting songs together with Will. He needed a drummer to actually to put these songs together, and he called me to maybe do some solos, and I'm like, dude, this is cool. We should maybe do something because Die Humane, the guys in Die Humane live like in different states, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to get together. And I really wanted to play some thrash, I really miss playing thrash and I wanted to play something a lot heavier. Uh, and then I've known Doug for 40 plus years, literally. And was such a sweet guy. And I was like, man, I've always loved Doug's playing and his whole attitude on the music scene and the fact that he has no ego whatsoever and he's just super like productive. He knows how to get shit done, right? So um it just made sense to me and we started putting stuff together. He had some songs written already, so we were working on that and then I would put in a little and then he put in more and then it just built into this a full record, really, and then just turning out really well, really well. We're having a lot of fun with it, actually.
So,
Rick's up in Lake County, and I have a little studio here in San Francisco. So we just did the old send waves back and forth with Dropbox kind of thing. And we started putting the files together and making really cool stuff happen. He'd come down here and we work on stuff and try to figure out how to take it further. And so it went like that for a little while.
Yeah.
Kaiten would come up from LA. He'd actually drive up, and then we'd do vocal production over at Tom Gear's studio, where we also recorded Will's drums.
mhm.
Tom records bands over at his subterranean studios. It's a facility inside the basement of his house, and it's pretty well built out. He can record drums. I can't. I can only record guitars, vocals, bass, small stuff. I just don't have a big drum room. But no, that's how me and Rick started getting ideas and going back and forth. I'd say, "Hey Rick, we need a melody here. What do you think?" Because Rick's really good at coming up with melodies. He's been doing this for quite a while. I've been really observant. We're all Bay Area fans, like Exodus stuff. I We worked together a million years ago on the Turk Street demo, baby.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Doug was on the very
it's
first
like
tour,
I
the
just would
Exodus
think,
tour
oh,
ever.
this is a place for Rick to shine. So he'll
Yeah.
come up with something. So he came up with that big melody in One Nation Enslaved. It turned into a dual guitar harmony part, which is kind of cool. and we play it live, and it's just going to be a huge, thing. But then there's many others, and it's really cool to like have that kind of collaboration, even though, we're not across the street, but we can still get a lot done.
Yeah. How long did it take you before you found your voice musically as a band?
We
Uh,
weren't looking for a voice. We
you
just
know,
kind of did what came natural.
automatic.
There was no thing where we said, "Whoa, we want to do this and sound like that." Nah, we just kind of like made a different kind of pudding, It's kind of sprinkled the different toppings on it, and it kind of came out the way it came out.
So we all come from a thrash background, but and like just metal background. So we all have our own flavor, and it comes to the table when we get together and write this stuff. But I would call us a thrash band for sure, right? Doug, old school thrash.
Oh yeah, I mean the roots are there. When you first sent me down the riffs for Day After, I knew right then. I go, holy shit, this is like next level 80s kind of that direction. And we were off. We were off and racing right from there.
I can totally
And
relate to that. Takes me back all the way to my high school years when all those bands came out in the early 80s.
yeah,
It's not dated though. I mean, it there's honestly in my mind, I think there's absolutely a room for an actual genre, a branch of the metal scene called old school thrash. You know what I mean? I would go as far as to say that we're maybe trying to create a new branch of the metal tree. Bring back the old school sound, right?
Definitely old school. Now, considering how much band experience everybody has here, what was the master plan?
you mean what do you mean the master? But are you talking about the idea of the
The
whole
idea, like
plan?
what idea did you have for this band?
We want to play live. That's basically in a nutshell. That's where I'm coming from. I want to play shows. I want to play heavy music with great people and play shows. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, and do, some serious, it would be really great to, bring it out to the world and show everyone. We all have like lots of people we know everywhere. And it's kind of a big goal to like present. There's nothing better than looking out and seeing everybody smiling. For me, that is, bringing joy through metal is an awesome thing. And you can
100%.
feel the power. And, other guys that do metal, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
Of course.
Or, just good music for that matter. I mean, it could be any genre, as long as people to see people a sea of people happy, there's nothing like it.
Killer.
It's the most gloriously awesome thing. And it's just like we're all in it together because we enjoy playing it and it goes in a big circle, it comes from the audience, goes to it's an awesome thing. And when you don't have a vehicle like that and you still have, ideas that can bring that vibe to, audiences, it's a cool thing. You just gotta go back and make it happen again. So here we are.
You're making it happening again.
That's the whole
Um,
point.
is this a full-time band or a project that's going to be happening on available time basis?
Full time band.
I
We just
mean,
we
it's,
just got
it's like other guys have like Will has the Death Angel thing. He's got several bands he does. And Kaiden still does High Rack. So, Will and I we get together when we can and thrash out, song ideas and do arrangements and all this. And Will's really good at that. And Rick throws in his 2 cents here or there. We build up songs and we go down and do it. But those two guys have, active bands. Me and Rick kind of don't really, he's got the Die Humane thing. I think you're still gonna help him out, do stuff, right?
yeah, absolutely. But this is a full time band. I mean, if you asked Will, he would tell you that it's a full time band. He's
I mean, for
complete.
me, it's all I'm doing. It's
Yeah,
like takes all my energy. So yeah, for me, it's 100% full time.
yeah. Will is committed 150%. Honestly, Will is really, he doesn't say much along the process of writing but he like when it gets done, it's really close to being finished. He'll come in the group chat and go, "Holy cow, this is amazing! Great job, guys!" And he's really, really into the music.
It's like we work together on the foundation. Like Rick and I will come up with the ultimate foundation, and then, like if it's a song we both work on together. and I'll figure out how to play it because Rick and I have styles that are pretty similar, so we can just bounce back and forth, learn parts real quick, which is super useful. And we don't have to like go over teach somebody how to play proper palm muting. We come from the same school, so it's
Yeah.
nothing. So we'll just like trade parts. It's like, I'll record his parts or he'll record my parts, whatever. And then I'll just like get that facsimile and we'll go down and knock it out with Will, or I'll just do it myself, and then we'll just like get the whole thing running. It's like we got each other. It's kind of neat. Works really good. It's like football where you hand the ball off
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
running back, and that sort of thing. And then when we're done figuring out our parts and the arrangements and all that, will play all sorts of intricate fills and runs. And we just completed the whole record. And so I was working with Tom Gears on his parts, and that was a lot of fun. We'd go back and forth. I go over to his house. Tom lives in Oakland, so it's really close. I just shoot over there after work or whenever I have time when he's ready. And we'll go down and I'll say, "Hey, look, Will's playing this fill. It's a triplet thing that's going down the toms. This is neat. You should try to play this on bass." And he'll go, "Yeah, exactly. We'll do it like that." And then he'll like nail that. And then the part is already existing it already exists because we record the drums first.
Mhm.
And then Tom will just like figure out these really interesting, intricate parts to play with the drums, independent of the guitars, which is really fun. And I just let him run because, Tom's fully accomplished. He knows how to do it. But he'll ask me ideas like, how about, what do you think about this note here, this arrangement there? And I'll just say, hey, it's cool. That sounds really good. Run with the ball. You know, it's another football thing. You pass the ball and they run.
Mhm.
And then next thing we know is like it just sounds like the way it became. Like that song Master Plan's got a lot of bass stuff in there that Tom does cool shit in, and so does One Nation Enslaved, and so does every song on the record. There's a lot of really cool bass stuff going on, which is neat. And it's not always like that. It goes back to the days of where Lars Ulrich had this really great idea to just like cut the bass out completely from And Justice for All. And then a lot of bands got excited about it and decided, oh, that's cool. No bass at all. Nothing.
Mhm.
Really? What do you think? No
Um,
comment. Look
um,
at that. Mark's quiet. Doesn't have nothing to say.
Kaiten. I like the way Kaiten approaches the vocals. It seems like he's exploring different aspects of his voice.
Oh, really,
Absolutely.
really is. We gave him 100% freedom to come in and do anything he wanted. And I think he surprised himself a whole bunch too, because he was just like, it's a totally different Kaiten just singing. It's really interesting to watch it happen, actually. I wasn't there the whole time, but it was super cool to watch him just like have all that freedom and just sing. You know what I mean? He blew my mind. He did a
Yeah,
great job.
the vocal production was pretty interesting. I first got into when we were talking about getting Kaiden involved. I started listening to all the high rocks I could hear, and really listening to his voice and trying to figure out if this would work. And it didn't take very long before I said, this could actually function really well. We could maybe do a little bit of production here and figure out how to, make the vocal melodies a certain way, or play around with it. And so that's kind of how we did it in the studio. But he brought a lot to the table too. We just kind of worked together to craft some kind of a really interesting, vocal style that was fully, it approached completely new avenues for him to go down, which was really fun for him. He'd be the first one to say it.
Mhm.
Because I mean, being able to open up and stretch out your style as a musician is really cool. It's a fun thing to do. I do it myself. Everyone does, and that happened clearly with Kaiten. And so, like, you can hear lots of really great. The next single that's coming out, it's a really good vocal chorus. You guys will hear it soon enough. And that was good, proper, solid vocal production on that one. And it just, keeps going. It's all over the record like that. Lots of really interesting. I mean, he was able to go in and access a lot of his influences. Everyone from like, the days of like Kiss or Alice Cooper, or he just pulled all these interesting influences out of the woodwork, and it was awesome to see and hear, you know. And then we just worked with it there. We kept it pretty simple. There isn't any like extreme harmony vocal production, like massive amounts of choruses. You know, like 80s production style on vocals is kind of not what we did. We did a little bit more in the direction of just single passes with occasional doubling and yet super heavy production so that it sounds heavy, you know? And it's just like it's killer. It turned out really well. And yet it reminds me a little bit of like production of like Soundgarden, you know, because that's always single voice and yet so solid, you know? That's what I mean.
No, I absolutely love it.
Wouldn't you say that, Rick?
Yeah, dude, I think he was just amazing on the album. He's really happy with it, and he got to branch out, and it was awesome to see. And I just love the vocal lines he came up with.
Mhm. What about the two of you? What is it you guys enjoy about each other's style?
Me? I love Rick how he always plays bluesy with hella feeling. He's the
Yeah,
one that always gets my goosebumps going. It's like back in the day, you know, Gary would play all the shredding stuff with lots of insane wang bar. But when it's like time to flip the table over, here comes Rick, and it's like, oh shit, now it's time for feeling.
thanks,
I
Doug.
just laid it down.
Honestly, we have I think that me and Doug complement each other really, really well. He's more of a shred guy, like not so much arpeggios, but he does a lot of really quick, beautiful, nice like harmonic minor runs and stuff like this. And like Doug said, I'm more of a bluesy guy. Uh, you know, I try to keep it simple, but I like to play to the song, right? And so I think that, and I don't use
You
a
know, the
bar at
thing is
all, and
that
Doug uses a little bit of bar, you know, and so it's not overwhelming to the average ear, but it's we play musical guitars, you know what I mean, and we complement each other really well. I'm having a blast with Doug Piercy. I got to tell you, it's just awesome.
and the harmonies come natural too. You'll come up with a harmony thing,
Yeah,
and it's like we just identify with it. It's not even a thing. It's like, okay, that's how you play it. No problem. We play it, bounce
absolutely.
back around,
Yeah, because
and
it's nothing new. We've been doing this for many, many years. It's just that we get to do it together now, and it's like Doug said, he'll go, "Hey, check this out," I'm like, and then I'll go, "Hey, check this out," and it's like we both really don't have a problem playing any of the parts. It's just like super cool. And our first show is coming up pretty soon. It's coming up fast, and we are so excited. It's just going to be off the chains.
yep.
Fantastic.
So we just finished doing the last of the video production for the third single, and now we're gonna hunker down and start getting really heavy into, you know, the rehearsals before the show. So that when Will gets back at the end of the month, we're starting in full band rehearsals, and that should go on for about 2 weeks. And then we have our showcase show on the 19th of July. The record comes out on the 18th. And yeah, we're off and running. Hopefully, you know, we'll see where it takes us, and it should be good. I mean, I just love doing music. No matter what happens, it's going to be a great record just to have out and just show the world, hey, man, this is where we are today, and we're still rolling, and can't get this bug out of us. It's the way it is, you know.
Yeah. Now, with so many distinctive personalities in the band, how do you keep all the egos in check? And talking to you, I don't even feel any egos.
Oh, dude. I mean, that's like honestly, I don't think that you'd be a part of this band if there was any ego. You know what I mean? It's just one of the things that we can't tolerate. Me and Doug are just like, dude, we don't need it. And everybody's really humble, down to earth. We've been doing honestly. We sat there for a minute and figured out that there's over 200 years of thrash metal experience in this band. So we've all been doing this for so long that you know the ego is just like there's just no room for it, bro, at all.
Really is kind of like that. It's 200 plus years. Jesus. I never thought about it like that, but there we are, you know.
I
It's
can
pretty
relate to
crazy.
I
that.
mean, you figure it out after a while, you know. It becomes the formula becomes clearer and clearer once you do it a bunch of times.
But it makes it so much more difficult when you're fighting someone's ego. It's just like, dude, let's just be a band and be best friends and have a great time doing what we're doing, bud. And it's like, and it shows in the music. It really does. I'm not even playing. It comes out in the music. I mean, when we get together, like yesterday, for instance, we finished the whole, but we shot the video yesterday for hours, and it was hot, 100 degrees all day long, and there was still laughter and joking around, and it was fun, man. We all get along really well.
Mhm. So what lessons from your previous bands are you applying in Nefarious?
Lessons?
Yeah.
Shit.
Ex-
Well, the experience you learn, there's a lot of examples of it, lots of angles.
Yeah, getting along together is like the number one. I always tell younger bands, man, if uh if you can't get along, then you have to move on. It's even more important than you being the best guitar player or the best drummer or the best singer, you know, in your little clique. It's much more important to actually get along with your bandmates and grow with them musically than than to be like an Ingve guitar player or whatever. I don't know. It's just, you know, you have to get along.
We're kind of old now, so we have some experience. I mean, I'm a dad and all this, and and so is Rick, and so is. But the point is that the wisdom thing that you naturally accrue, years of getting more experience, having to understand how relationships function, like with your own family or something, all that applies in bands too. And it's really critical to be able to look at someone and kind of see what see past, like see how they're living, see what they're doing in their lives, try to understand how much stress they might be from certain examples and try to understand all that before you open up any kind of, I mean, just try to really get a good background of the character, and then you can like deal with someone a lot easier if you just think a lot about it. I mean, it's like everyone's got their own personal stuff, and if you approach things this way, this is like me being philosophical. I don't, I'm
No,
not
but
trying
it's
to
true though.
preach, but this
It's,
works. This is how this functions because if you don't think about all the other things that someone might have in their life, they might have like money issues or like rent stuff or there might be something wrong with their parents or their family, or you never know. But you got to understand these things are always functioning for the other person, and if you need to always be very, very aware of everything about that other person, so that you can have proper conversations about it and not just go off half cock like, why don't you have any time? Well, maybe it's because the guy's got, something wrong with his family. His parents are like going through some kind of nightmare. It could be many, many things. Or, perhaps this, who knows? It could be anything. It could be like your daughter has to go to chemotherapy. Oh my God, what a nightmare. I'm trying to think of hypothetical stuff, but the point is if you don't think about that kind of thing when you're in a working relationship with anyone, this goes in any kind of working relationship, there will be trouble. And as long as you are willing to look at all those parts, me being philosophical here, I am sorry. But the thing is like that is how you can make a solid working relationship.
like a
And
marriage. It's
it's
like,
about respect and understanding.
yep, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
So we apply that obviously.
it works. Now, why the name Nefarious? Is there a special meaning to it?
No,
We were going back and forth over a whole bunch of different names, right? Weren't we there, Rick?
yeah, it's crazy. It's one of the hardest things to do, like in the beginning, is come up with a good name. You know what I mean? So honestly, we just Nefarious came up, and Tambray did the logo. We were like, dude, that's so cool. And but we were being the whole time being aware that there's probably 3,000 other Nefariouses out there. So you know, we just said we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna
We
go
did
ahead.
a deep search. There's something like 14 or 13 or something, but all of them are defunct or broken up or not doing anything on the level that we are. There's one rapper guy and then who's actually got a small following or significant following. It's unclear exactly. I'm not, don't hold me to that. But and then there's the movie. There's a movie that just came out, and the movie bought the rights to Nefarious.com. So we couldn't get that. That's why we don't have the Nefarious.com. But we were able to get Nefarious banned. And so, or official, sorry, excuse me, that's the email address. But that isn't something to think of. I mean, it's not an unheard of word. But we just figured we just take it and make it ours because we can do it in such a way that it will, be approached on a much larger, grander scale. And that's our thinking on that. So
Yeah,
we'll
we
see
also,
how that goes. It looks like it's going great though, so we're
oh,
all
it,
happy about that.
if you look on Spotify or any of the streaming sites, it's up on it's called Nefarious SF. Just so it makes it a little bit simpler to find us out there.
Yep.
Exactly.
Um, Master plan. That's already out there for people to hear. What feedback are you getting?
Oh man, we're getting well. Okay, so One Nation Enslaved came out first, and the reception was unbelievable. The day before it comes out, everybody's on pins and needles. It's like, oh my God, it's just human nature, right? Just you got so much committed to this project, and you want everybody to love it. And then so you wake up and you get on Facebook or whatever, and everybody's loving it, and you're just like, oh, what a relief, and you're just so happy and so like just blessed. Master plan, same way. It's everybody's really loving it. We're just so appreciative.
I mean, we wanted to make sure to like release, pretty high speed, full blown shredding thrasher first to like, kick the bucket right down the stairs. Like, whoa, this is what's happening. Here's a lot of noise, which we did, and it turned out pretty good. We surprised a lot of people. We kept it carefully quiet for months while we were working on it.
That
The
was a good one.
master plan thing, it's a different kind of a song. It's a little bit more hard rock, but still like heavy. It's just some nutty riff I came up with. It's because of that Jubilee, that one. This amp over here, I plugged into it and got it running, and it was one of the first riffs I just came out. Just I was thinking, wow, that sounds heavy as fuck. I gotta keep this. So I recorded it really quick on Pro Tools and just kept it around and just started developing the song. But there's many other songs on this record, which is really important. I mean, that's the Master Plan song. The Addicted to Power song is another pretty high speed, high energy thrasher. We have more songs after that, which will be, the names and titles of all those will be coming out soon enough too. There's a total of 8 songs,
Mhm.
but it's a lot of fun, and it's just that's kind of how the Master Plan came, but there's many more, and it's just each song's its own story, and they're not patterned after each other or anything, which is kind of neat. There's no like one singular kind of single high speed rail kind of that's what every song sounds the same. It's not like quite like that. Every song sounds different, and that's by design. That's a production technique, and it kind of separates us a little bit from a lot of other bands that just simply want to have everything sound exactly the same. I mean, there's a guideline that we're following, but there's like applications of different vocal techniques. There's there's different approaches to playing solos, different phrasings, this kind of thing. I mean, it's to keep it exciting and interesting. That's I don't know, this the way it seems like it worked out, and I love it.
So the album, it's titled Addicted to Power. Is there a special theme linking it to, let's say, political nature of the world in 2025?
Basically,
Well,
trying to just put our beliefs out there, but not without picking sides. It's real important to us to not pick sides because everybody's so freaking divided. We just want to express what we as human beings personally are experiencing here in 2025. I mean, is that right, Doug? Pretty much, right?
oh yeah, I mean, we're very careful to not get involved in the rat race that goes on in the United States with the insanity going on here. I mean, I personally think a lot more worldly. I mean, when I was thinking of the addicted to power thing, it had almost It had very little to do with the United States. It had a lot more to do with throughout history. You get you get these emperors and you get these these different each era, like the Roman era, the whole Manchurian dynasty. You get everything went on with the Vikings. All these guys were so hung up on power and bloodlust and madness, and they got so drunk on it, and they just become addicted to it. And when I was coming up with the lyrics for the Addicted to Power song, I was influenced heavily at first when I started writing the verses. I was heavily influenced by what's going on in Ukraine. And I was amazed that here we are in 2025 or 2022 or 3 or when in the hell that war started. It was horrible. And I was really amazed. We all have friends in Ukraine, and it's just a terrible thing to see that it's more important for someone like Putin, who's very much drunk on his power thing. I mean, all you have to do is read about how he's come up through the KGB and all that. The guy's clearly addicted and just drunk on it. And it was mostly about, that's a modern day good example of it, but it's been going down like this throughout history.
Yeah.
So the concept of addicted to power is all about being just wanting more and more. It becomes a drug that you can't get out of. It just keeps going. And now we can come back a little bit to the United States. We see that here as well. Without putting out any examples, it's pretty obvious to see. We don't even have to talk about it. But you can look at, there's just so many examples, and that's what the whole concept's about. And if you read the lyrics, you'll see that the choruses are very much pointing out how it's been like that throughout history, and how the human species is just caught up in it forever, it seems like.
Forever is a good word. Um, did you face any challenges along the way?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think the biggest challenge was getting Katon up here. And he did that like a champion, man. He came up every 2 weeks, like I don't think there's been many challenges, honestly. And I think that just comes with our experience as individuals in this scene. We're all really stoked to be doing this project, and it's been a pretty natural thing.
Yeah. I mean, there were some time constraint challenges,
Well,
but
yeah,
we met them like pros. And I really am proud of all the guys for meeting those time constraint challenges.
but they were, but they were
They were so professionally handled that they didn't even matter.
but
Right,
they were
Rick?
created by us though. It was like we came over this thing with the time crunch that we had, but we created the time crunch ourselves, and it's like, oh God, what have we got ourselves into? Kind of, and I think that was probably the biggest, like you say, the biggest challenge. But we did it, dude, and we did it, and we did it good,
We
right?
handled it.
We did. We had a time crunch because we had hired publicists and radio people, and we needed to finish two songs. And to the point, I'm going to be honest now, to the point where Will was like, dude, I don't think we can do it. I don't think we can do this. And me and Doug are like, dude, Will, we can do it. We're going to do it. And here's how we're going to do it. And we did it, dude. It was
Yeah, yeah.
freaking awesome.
I have a lot of experience in the racing industry where over the winter we have to complete outrageous car situations, get them ready for test days that are usually in March or even as early as February, weather permitting. It goes back to when I was in Europe. And time deadlines it's common in that it's just absolutely common in the racing industry. So I got really used to like getting all the hard stuff done first, and it changes your thinking so that you plan correctly and making it so that you can actually pull shit off. And honestly, for me, thank you racing industry because it kind of got me into tuned in with all that,
Yeah, we
and
pulled
it
it off.
made it so I could see it as doable, whereas the other
Literally
guys weren't so sure.
within about a week. I mean, we came in like almost dead on. perfect. It was pretty crazy. But I will say it was an absolute 1000% team effort. Everybody came through. Everybody pulled their weight. Everybody came through, and it was really, really awesome. And everybody's super proud about that. And we're ready to move on.
Speaking of moving on, what plans do you have for live performances or possibly a tour?
Right now, we're all energy is being set up for this record release party for the home crowd, and then we are gonna put ourselves out there and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Basically,
there's some things that are already happening that we're not really ready to talk about yet, which is good. But there's going to be some really interesting situations developing, particularly for the year 2026.
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to all that, but we can't really talk about it just yet.
It's a mystery. Will you be including any music from your former bands in your live set?
That's
Uh,
not planned at the moment.
Not my former band. I don't think so. I mean,
Not necessary.
it's not necessary. I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, and I would. No one would
Yeah,
be.
I
No one would.
mean, it's like you never say never, but that's not really right now. We're just focusing on what we can do, and it's a lot more fun just to keep it that way.
I
I
think it
mean,
would be.
there's if you look at your back catalog, and we all have back catalogs, it's fine. From time to time you can say, "Wow, that might be fun," but you got to remember that all the other guys have got to want to do it too. So it's
Absolutely.
not really fair to push all that on the other folks. If everybody comes to a I mean, we'll talk about it. It'll be funny. We'll go out dinner and laugh and figure out if we really want to play.
Let's do Toxic Waltz, dude.
Exactly.
And we'd all get it. We'd probably be more inclined to do some other like old priest or something than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've been so focused on as you know, Rick, we've been so focused on our own shit. It's
Yeah.
honestly never even been a thing to bring it up. I mean, at this
And
point, we probably could,
yeah,
and we
it has.
probably will. We'll go out to dinner or something and talk about it.
It would be interesting to put together a straight up medley of Heathen, Exodus, Hyrax, like all in a like an 8 minute song. If we just did a medley of like all this stuff, like thrash metal soup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sort of like, yeah, yeah. I mean, I can imagine that. Medleys are interesting. That might be so hilarious. You could
Yeah,
touch base on all of it.
yeah, absolutely. And people, as long as you play enough of the riff, and then so people can go, oh shit, and then we move on quick. Oh shit, there's
It's
another one.
actually a really interesting idea. Don't get me started. Now I'm starting to think about it. Ah!
Now you have me to blame
Hey,
for it.
Mark, now that's probably gonna happen because of you, bro. Fuck.
I know you have me to blame for it.
All right,
Um,
absolutely.
how would you say the Bay Area scene had changed in the last 40 years?
40?
Yeah,
Oh
or
shit.
more.
In the last 40 years, that's a good question.
There was a moment when Metallica came to Old Waldorf, and I was just a young snapper, and Rick was probably in the audience too, and I knew right then that they were on to something, because they were taking the new wave of British heavy metal and bringing it to the next level. And I was in a band called Amble Chorus at the time,
super badass band.
and I kind of knew, wow, this is going to be the future. I just knew it right there. And what was more interesting is that they were from LA still at that time, but we just kind of there was enough bangers and thrashers in the audience that you could see that they were onto something, and yet we were as Bay Area residents, we kind of felt like things were getting harder for us too because we're all into all of, we were upset with all the radio and all this like keyboard and heavy pop corporate rock was just all over
Oh,
the radio, and so we were rebelling
the hair metal bands.
and playing like really heavy shit with more Marshalls and going down the road that Priest and Maiden were doing and Merciful Fate, and we were all kind of together on that same kind of thing, and we started jamming on types of songs and riff ideas along those directions. And Exodus went their way, and I got involved with the Heathen stuff. Um, there were other bands like there's the Testament aspect, and Death
Legacy,
Angel came in, and
Island,
and
Forbidden.
we kind of developed our own Bay Area thing, and it was all new. No one had done anything even close to it. So back in those days, it was like, holy fuck, man! Everything was turning over new stone. No one seen the other underside of that stone. Now it's all different. Those stones have been uncovered for years and years and years. We have all these other bands that are moving in, and they're sort of like they say, "Oh, well, that's how we're supposed to do it." We see the underside of the stone. We're kind of like doing it like that. So there is that. There's no sense of the innovation that we had, the excitement of the total new innovational ideas. We had this guitar stuff going on, shredding shit going on in the 80s, and people started incorporating that. Even like Iron Maiden would do it too, into their styles and songs. And we started doing that a little bit, but our way, kind of. And but that was back then. Then the 90s came, and everybody realized they had to go out and get jobs and go take care of their families. And there was a big lull for a while. And then around 2000, it all started happening again. And then there's newer bands that are coming in that it kind of are trying to step on all the footsteps we kind of originally did, or I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I think I'll stop there. If Why don't you finish this up, Rick? Where are we today? How did it get?
Well,
How are we
honestly,
now?
what we're Doug and I are a little different because we come from a more melodic type of guitar playing. We don't flail on a lot of arpeggios, and like we are more song oriented and harmony and melodic in our solos. So what we're trying to, and honestly, and it goes past that, it goes like more production too. We're not really into the whole clicky drums, the machines type of drums that you hear nowadays, and the computer generated guitars. We both play tube amps, and we'll never stop playing tube amps. I mean, I have a quad sitting right here that I use for recording and stuff just to throw around with Doug. But we play tube amps, and we want to keep it more organic, I think is a good word, uh, than most right now. We have bands, local bands that are going a little bit of a different direction, which is totally cool. You know what I mean? But I think it's gonna like, we use the term old school a lot, right? Right now,
Right.
we're using the term old school. It's not that we're like trying to uh
It's like
drive
right now the trend is. I think where you're going, Rick, is that you're saying like the trend is to go small digital and like modeling of
yeah,
these major amps. I mean, I got all these amps over here, right? We
yeah.
got the Angle, we got the Marshalls and all this shit. I got a Mesa Barbo over here in the corner. Bottom line is that these are the real deal. They're real amplifiers, and they have a different sound when you play live, and they cut in a different way. And it's really popular now to go to this full digital stuff, and people are using like these little tiny Seymour Duncan. They're like little power amps with their DSPs, and it's just I don't mean it's useful for a fly rig, you can do it as long as you I don't know, but it's like that is not the way you can't always follow the other guy. You need to like stay where you kind of can still build from your roots and
We're just
never be afraid to forge forward into the unknown. And for me, it's just like it goes without saying. I mean, I didn't record any of the rhythms or for the most part, any of my parts without without just a single booster going straight into the amp, and that's it. And then you apply some effects and stuff in the processing afterwards on in the Pro Tools. Really, for my
we're just
live rig's a little bit different. It's similar to Rick's.
we're just going with
That's
what we
it.
So this is what we know, you know what I mean? And what
I
we're
mean,
good at.
less is better.
Yeah,
Jesus.
right now, it's
Less
just
is more.
less is
I mean,
better.
literally. I mean, you don't need to have all the extra shit. It just makes noise, you know?
Dude,
Um,
that's what we're trying to do right now. You're exactly right. It just adds noise. And right now, my rig is so quiet and so cool. Everything's perfect.
I think the key word he's like you said, Rick, organic. That's the key word here.
Absolutely, 100%.
Finally, what surprised you the most when working with this group of people in Nefarious?
As a whole, wow. Well, we when we get in a room together, we get along extremely well. All of us. I like you said, there's no egos. I think that Kaiden added a lot to the sound. His vocal performance was on point. Um, we were kind of wondering how it was all going to play out. He came in and killed it. Added spice to the music. He sang the choruses like like we knew he could, and we're just pleasantly surprised with how it's all turning out, man. I mean, when you hear the rest of the album, it's just like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of atmospheric guitars, you know what I mean, that make this really moody, like
I think
really.
for me, the biggest surprise was the response that we got from the first single. That I can't get past that one. That was a big one.
That
I
was a
mean, I'm used to like just putting out music because that's what we do. We're artists. We put out stuff, you know. I mean, I could build something and it's like a cool building, or I could like go record something and it's nice and pretty and sounds great and it's got nice melodies or whatever. And you just keep doing it. I got files and files and files of this stuff. But this one was different because we put it together, got together with the guys, and then we wound up kind of keeping it secret, which was that was hilarious all by
damn
itself.
near almost a year,
This
bro.
is hilarious stories about that, but it doesn't matter because in the end, when it came out, it blew away a lot of people that didn't even expect anything like it. And the response was very surprising in terms of how positive it was and how far-reaching it was. And people were just super happy. And it's again, it's like you see the smile on their faces. There's nothing like it, you know? And that, to me, that was the biggest surprise.
That was a big surprise. That was a huge surprise. And like I said, like the day before we launched that first single, we were like, I mean, I know I was nervous, bro. I was like, oh God, because we put so much into this, a lot of time and a lot of time, and honestly, to be real, a lot of money goes into this. And we don't make money, we spend money at this point. And and we're just like, God, this is
We haven't
crazy.
spent that much. We're
No,
pretty careful.
no, we really we're doing well, and
I mean, seriously, intelligent spending of money is critical to all this. You
yeah,
can be a fool and just go in and just decide you're gonna go with a huge entourage and 2747s and fly in and just like red carpet's got to be rolled out, man, and they got to be gold plated. And
yeah.
next thing we know is it costs a lot of money. Well, you know what? It doesn't have to be like that. There's a lot of really cool, simple, common sense tricks that can be applied so that you don't spend that much money. Like what we've been doing with the videos, Rick, is just peanuts, and yet they're ridiculous. You know, the
And we're
results.
recording too because we all have our own studios and we all have this. We all have the knowledge on how to record our own parts at home. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we have studios now.
Yeah.
We
So
built our studios so that we can work professionally and efficiently at home. That's
yeah,
critical.
that's so critical. I mean, we could go into a big studio and hire, and do all this stuff and spend 20,000, $30,000 easily, but look what we got for nothing, so.
It's ridiculous.
No, it is. But it also adds to the artistry of the whole project, and it adds to the fun because me myself, I love it when Doug calls me up. He goes, "Dude, I need a melody for this and this and this," and I'm like, "Yeah, cool, okay, so I'll get back to you in a couple of days." To me, that's a challenge number one, and it's super duper fun, dude. And it makes you feel like a part of the project, right?
Oh
It's
hell yeah!
it's a camaraderie thing that makes you feel like a part of something. and that's huge. It's really really important, dude. Um, and then everybody is feeling the same exact way. So when we send tracks to to Tom, so we give him free reign, and he's such an amazing bass player. And when we're all sitting there, and we you finally get some tracks back from Tom, and it's just, oh my God, listen to this dude play bass. Yeah, dude, right on, Tom. Thanks, dude. And it's really cool. Honestly, it's really really cool.
And
Um,
he's just recording, similar to us, just a couple of microphones, a DI. I run a DI and I have various speaker cabinets that I run in, and they have a little bit different sound. And you combine them all up and mix them together, and it just sounds monstrously. It's all big and fine. But I haven't looked at that cabinet now for about a year. It's down. My ISO room is down below. It's under in the basement, and it's just hanging out down there with mics on it and cobwebs, and who cares? It's just like you don't even open the door. It's just there forever. And I can sit here and I can go over to my rig and turn everything on, all the preamps, and just go. It's like not even a thing. It's
Yeah.
so critical to have that. A lot of people don't. And I built my own little studio room that's like soundproofed and it's all set up to be a studio. You just got to think about it and approach it correctly and get it done, build it, make it yours, get what you got to do to get it. That way you don't have to run onto the sword of a $20,000, recording cost thing for like, not even a whole album. Like, it's just starting the recording. Now, today you don't necessarily always have to go in with the intention to record, 8 to 12 full songs as a whole album. You can actually go in the model is now set up. You can go and record a couple of songs and release them as two songs. But we wanted to go kind of a little bit more old school. It's what we understand the most. So we figured we'd just do a complete full length CD. And, then they're long, solid, crazy songs. And so that's what we did. And, we could have just released like two songs.
mhm.
Well, we're sort of doing that anyway, but the thing is supposed to be part of a full CD release, which
Which it
is
is.
That's the goal. That's
It's,
the
it's
goal.
the way it's planned and going out.
Care to elaborate a little bit more about how you kept it a secret for a year? I was kind of intrigued by what you said before.
It's
Oh,
really easy.
no, it
You
wasn't.
don't talk about it.
Yeah. But you're with your friends, and it got to the point, honestly, in the last part before we announced, it got to the point where people were starting to figure it out, and they were starting to ask questions, and people would show up. Like for instance, we were at Will's studio in San Francisco doing a photo shoot, and these two, I'm not going to name any names, but these two cats that have been in the scene forever and ever and ever, and they're good, great friends of ours. But they showed up out of the blue, and they figured it out, and we're like, oh no, no, no,
It was terrible.
because they're
They
like,
saw my van.
yeah,
They
they're
said,
like,
and then they saw Kaiden. So they saw my van and Kaiden, and it was like, oh, that's what's happening.
yeah. So, but and one of them let some info out a little bit. I'm not gonna again. I'm not gonna mention any names. He knows who he is, but
Yeah.
yeah, we like Doug said, the only way to do it is just not say anything, and it
I
wasn't
mean,
the
I would record the most awesome shit, or like me, we'd be over at Tom's and we'd just knock out the fucking most crushing drum takes, and we'd edit them up, and I'd bring the shit home, and I'm like, I got my little drive, and I'm coming home, and I got the bomb in my hand, and I don't say nothing.
yeah,
Nothing. Hello. Did I
not a
say
word.
anything? Nope. Did I say a peep? Nope. I said fucking nothing. No blurb, nothing anywhere. I mean, I don't understand why people gotta just get so excited and talk about shit. I didn't even tell my wife. She didn't care anyway.
No, but it was like but but the final process, it was effective. It was effective when we dropped One Nation Enslaved. People were like, "Whoa, this came out of the blue." You know what I mean? And that's what we wanted. We wanted it to be
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Rick and Dog, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this new project.
Absolutely.
And good
Thank you,
luck with
Mark.
everything.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for being there and doing this interview. We really appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Mark. And really, it means a lot. It's great seeing you online, and it's good to talk to you finally.
We'll see you guys at Nefarious on the road.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can't wait.